The Disease of Conceit, Take 2. The Disease of Conceit. Conceit. Noun. Excessive pride in oneself. He was puffed up with conceit. Synonyms. Vanity, narcissism, conceitedness, ego, self-admiration, self-regard, pride, arrogance, hubris, self-importance, self-satisfaction, smugness, big-headed, vainglory. Disease of Conceit by Bob Dylan. There's a whole lot of people suffering tonight from the disease of conceit. A whole lot of people struggling tonight from the disease of conceit. Comes right down the highway, straight down the line, rips into your senses, through your body and your mind. Nothing about it that's sweet. The disease of conceit. There's a whole lot of hearts breaking tonight from the disease of conceit. A whole lot of hearts shaken tonight from the disease of conceit. Steps into your room, eats into your soul. Over your senses, you have no control. Ain't nothing too discreet about the disease of conceit. There's a whole lot of people dying tonight from the disease of conceit. A whole lot of people crying tonight from the disease of conceit. Comes right out of nowhere, and you're down for the count. From the outside world, the pressure will mount. Turn you into a piece of meat, the disease of conceit. Conceit is a disease that the doctors got no cure. They've done a lot of research on it, but what it is, they're still not sure. There's a whole lot of people in trouble tonight from the disease of conceit. A whole lot of people seeing double tonight from the disease of conceit. Gives you delusions of grandeur and an evil eye. Gives you the idea you're too good to die. Then they bury you from your head down to your feet from the disease of conceit. It is conceit that hides behind all our human ills. Conceit is the excessive pride in one's own perceptions, thoughts, and feelings. It is endemic to our human condition. We are ego-centered beings, after all, singular and separate identities, locked in our fragile and all too mortal bodies, moment-focused in eternity, a tiny being lost in a mind-bogglingly vast eternity. Our scientific curiosity and the success of our human systems and institutions have created this marvel of modern technology. But it has also created the power to rain death down on others and has made us drunk with the unlimited power of empire, mankind's most extreme conceit. That one race or people or class has the right to take an exalted station, leaving all others in abject and endless poverty. This is the same elitist conceit that has infected all our institutions. The conceit that we, due to our superior understanding of life or God or Scripture, makes us better than the unbelievers. This conceit of the elite is now fully on display in our politics, the outward reflection of our society. We have lauded the conceits of colonialism with genocide righteously committed on the world, population after population, in a succeeding ghastly and ghoulish bloody parade of decimated populations all across the world. This bloody trail is the direct result of our inability to see through all these petty human conceits. Conceits are lies we tell ourselves that we are righteous and superior, and that we and no other are the rule of how people should be, or that we are God's favorite kids, and that we have been favored by the virtue of birth to wealth and privilege and all that goes with it. The human condition is an egotistical trap that breeds megalomania and a terrible denial of all shortcomings and weaknesses and wrongdoing. the unchecked power of excessive wealth, and the absolute certainty of an exclusive and exalted status, for whatever reason, is the cause of the epidemic of narcissism that is literally destroying our world as we speak and determining the dire fate of the dead future, waiting after all our human ignorance has poisoned our waters and destroyed our trees and left us with a desert world unable to sustain any life for eons until the irradiated oceans are healed and the toxic waste absorbed and the world has been changed forever. Perhaps after 100 million years, there'll be a new evolution that brings forth a sentient life form that develops a civilization that becomes bloated and toxic and self-intoxicated and destroys itself again. Would it not be possible to find a new humanity beyond the conceits born of 10,000 years of being crushed under the stagnation of a perpetual paternal warrior cult of murderers and thieves? Our complicit behavior has supported this brutality and allowed it to grow and grow into a mechanical system of death and fire that it has become. That smoldering worldwide menace is now ready to ignite into a flame of world war. A war to end all life is now beginning, fought on our behalf. War with Iran has been sanctioned by the war machine enablers in Congress, and armies are massing on the Russian border. Militarized police are destroying our cities and fighting the water protectors of the Native Americans as we speak. More importantly, it is the warmest winter I have ever lived through in all my 60 useless years of trying to preach peace and love to empty chairs. How do we transcend the very egotistical nature of our existence? That is the question that must be asked before we can see the way to fix our civilization so that it does not destroy the future through elitist excess and militant empire. Humanity needs to embody the opposite of conceit: humility, compassion, deference, empathy, kindness, courtesy, sympathy, and generosity between free and equal people or free and equal nations. It is all the same. As long as there is one bully in the family of nations, drunk with power and self-intoxicated with conceit, there is no equality or justice or progression. There is only war and oppression and bigotry and stagnation. First, war must end, either by the devastation of one last nuclear war or by the evolution of a people beyond conceit and its evil twin, the use of brutal power enforced by violence. Once we stop wasting all our national will and productivity on war, we can save the future of life on Earth and join the world in a democratic socialism that makes capitalism fair and restrains our excessive egotism, conceit, and greed. I hoped for many decades that America, if she was truly great, should apologize to the Native Americans and restore them to their true place as equal and cherished original citizens of their own free and sovereign nation. Native American spirituality should become the true American faith, harmony and balance with nature, and the visionary experience of the dream time would heal our ignorance and lead our civilization to a renewable and sustainable future for all life on the planet. The African Americans, too, should be given a huge economic reparations package for 500 years of economic and social oppression. Those just starting out in life and those who are elderly and have given their lives for the good of mankind should both be aided and allowed to live dignified and productive lives, aided by the government and the grateful common will. I suggest, instead of a war on terror, we should build huge white mosques in every capital in the world. We should give generously to build temples, churches, synagogues, outdoor parks and wildlands, water and sewage systems, power grids, roads, bridges, and other needed services and infrastructure, including schools and hospitals and housing, to express our appreciation and our apology for all cultures and traditions of the past, and our hopes for peace and prosperity, not for our nation alone, but for all nations. This includes Americans embracing the fact that they are not any more or less exceptional or blessed than any other people or nation. Americans must live a simpler and more natural lifestyle and radically reform and progress to a nation that loves peace more than war and equality more than wealth. Only then can we take our proper place in the world, not as the only militant superpower left after colonialism, but as the humble and penitent nation, ashamed of its brutal and greedy past, and willing to change for the good of all people everywhere, and for the greater good of all life on the planet. We must take responsibility for our terrible past and vow to make a future a paradise that allows the whole world to live in freedom and equality and peace and plenty. We must see every single life form on the planet as a sovereign being created by the universe to express some aspect of its perfection and its totality. To believe that the universe is a dead mechanical machine and that life is a fluke of nature is the greatest conceit of them all. The universe is a vast living consciousness of which we are all, every single one of us, a divine and essential and eternal part. All life is sacred. All things are sacred. Our ego can be sacred too, when it is full of love and joy and respect for the impeccable perfection that is everything but our tiny ego voice in our head, telling us we are all that truly exists in the world, and that everyone and everything else is less valuable than our own chatty Cathy conceit in our heads, telling us how we are better than others, or secretly fearing that we are worse than others. Unless this tiny, selfish voice is quieted with gentle and noble conscience that cares about everyone in the world, indeed every single living thing, and what supports it, we are doomed to a gross and final extinction by the matricide of Mother Earth, caused by the psychotic, incorporated, conceited children of unearned and inherited wealth, power drunk on their own world-devouring elitist conceit. What does it mean to be a superior human being? And is it possible, in a truly free and equal society, to create a populace that is humble and kind and honest and self-sacrificing and wise? If unchecked capitalism has created the sociopathic insanity of the wealthy ultra-conservatives, making narcissism a national epidemic of domestic violence, banality, and crude ignorance, then what form of government would be conducive to creating a kinder, more evolved, and harmonious humanity? The role of improving humanity falls to all our institutions, but our institutions were born in the colonial era of rich white men, and all are a matter of that patriarchal hierarchy, creating dictators whose bloated egos would suck in the whole universe like a black hole if they could. To resist the decline of our humanity and sociopathic narcissism and psychotic planetary matricide and human suicide, we make the following urgent demands. 1. Reverence for all life on Earth and the Mother Earth herself. 2. Elevating our concepts of humanity from ignorance, violence, and conceit to wisdom, peace, and grateful service. 3. Changing our ideology to evolve from the mythic retardation of human perception to a more direct and expansive vision of the eternal, infinite, and loving, living universe. 4. Life on earth is holy and not a rebellion against God. We are the courageous, eternal adventurers. We are the great dreamers of the ages that dare to dream our own dreams and make them real. 5. All people and all arts, religions, and philosophies are divinely inspired. 6. Everything has consciousness. 7. The universe is perfect. 8. Everyone is equal and deserves justice and a decent life, in which they have the right to have life, liberty, and the pursuit of meaning in life. 9. A 20-hour full-time work week with a decent wage, benefits, vacation, family, sick leave, single-payer health care, and a safe and productive workplace. End the abusive, totalitarian, hierarchical structure of the workplace. Institute a maximum wage and a guaranteed allowance for basic needs for everyone on the planet. 10. End all fossil fuels, non-biodegradable plastic, and all petroleum products, coal, and all other power-related pollution with new, modern, clean technologies. 11. End nuclear power and other toxic industries and processes, including pharmaceutical poisons, agricultural poisoning, industrial poisoning. 12. End the privately owned automobile. 13. The end of beef production and methane poisoning due to livestock. 14. End deforestation and plant trees everywhere now. 15. Solar power, hydropower, wind power, geothermal heating, zero energy, new technology. Fix our daily processes to make them harmonize and be symbiotic and renewable. 16. Restore our freshwater systems, save the air and the oceans. 17. Free Hyperloop transportation system worldwide. 18. A $1 billion cap on capitalism and everybody pays into Social Security and taxes without loopholes and hidden assets for the rich. Criminalize excessive wealth. Persecute the world-threatening narcissists of ancient wealth and power. 19. End all warfare and violence. End weapons manufacture and militarism. End violence in sports and entertainment. 20. Legalize marijuana and hemp. Protect alternative lifestyles. 21. Reform. Restore democracy to the people, not corporations and politicians. Reform elections. Reform the corruptions of wealth in representative government. Systematic racism and justice reform. Reparations and economic help for Native Americans, African Americans, poor people worldwide, working class Americans, student debt. Reform the Federal Reserve and Wall Street financial sectors. 22. equal rights for all women, reverence for women and for nature, and all sexual expression that is not harmful, violent, or perverse as sacred. 23. End the warrior cult of manly violence. 24. Reform educational institutions. 25. Limit the power of religions. Tax churches. Penalize corrupt financial dealings by religious institutions and the abuse of children, gays, and other nonconformists. 26. Apologize to the Flower Child movement and for all those who believe in peace and love and feel that marijuana and nature are sacred. Give back the billions stolen from us to fight the useless and cruel drug war, the crime of 2 centuries. 27. Promote reincarnation over heaven and hell and eternal transformation over mechanical oblivion or eternal ego perpetuation. Stress the unity of all things. Worship the living universe. 28. Wisdom over wealth. Cooperation over competition. Kindness over self-advantage. Compassion over condemnation. Appreciation and respect over apathy and racism. 29. Simplicity over materialism. Humility before exploitation. Consciousness over consumption. Enjoyment of family, friends, and community over accumulation of personal wealth and status. 30. Native American and Aboriginal philosophy and spirituality of personal mystic vision revealed in the symbolic reality of coincidence, interactions with animals, and the elemental being within all life, and in dreams and imagination, in harmony with nature and in reverence for all life, should be the organizing principle of all human activity and technology. Thank you. On behalf of Lunge the Dinosaur, let us not go extinct. I want to thank you for listening. James Mandolare. Save the future. Peace and love.